Welcome back to another episode of Stand on Guard. I'm your host, David Crayden. On a Sunday afternoon, hope you're having a great weekend. Hasn't been too bad at all here. The weather's been lousy, but hey, when I come back, we're going to see just how delusional Justin Trudeau is. And I'm going to talk about some of the things we're going to be doing in the upcoming week. Thanks for joining me today.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need to resolve to resist.
Yes, please like the station. Thank you for everybody who subscribed yesterday. We're getting back. YouTube is really screwing me around this month with monies owed and subscribers lost. They do this to you, and it is difficult at times. You wonder if you're ever going to get ahead. But I'm really not in this to make a lot of money. I'm in this to tell the truth about journalism, and that's why I'm here. And so please like the station, support it, subscribe, resubscribe if you have to. I really appreciate you doing it. You don't know how much it means to a small station like this. We're headed towards 30,000 subscribers. I'm not sure I ever expected to keep going past 15,000, but we've done that, and we're really making some traction. So before I go into what's happening next week, I got some exciting things going on. I wanted to show you this incredible clip from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. These are the mayors of Canada who get together every year, and Justin Trudeau is the keynote speaker. And of course, he's good enough to sit down and answer questions. But the way he answers questions just shows you how delusional he is. And at one point, he repeats the lie that he repeats every time he's in the House of Commons during question period, that 8 out of 10 Canadians get back more than they give in this carbon rebate. They get more back than they actually pay out in the carbon tax. 8 out of 10 Canadians. He keeps saying it. And he keeps saying that the parliamentary budget officer is the one who came up with this statistic. The information is, once again, for the 100th time, the information was based on bad data. The parliamentary budget officer reevaluated his estimation and said nowhere near 80% of Canadians are getting back more in your pockets than they're giving at the gas pumps and in for home heating. But Trudeau keeps, and there's a number of lies. I'm going to point out what lies he's telling here. But just look at this twerp here, how arrogant he is, how just so smug and self-satisfied. And that's because only a complete unalloyed narcissist like Justin Trudeau, who lives in his own tiny universe with his own tiny mind, could possibly be oblivious to the catastrophe that surrounds him. And the fact his days are limited. I don't mean he's got terminal cancer or something. I mean his political days are limited. He hasn't got much longer in office, but he sure thinks he does.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Number two.
Yeah. Just love himself.
Hello.
Loves himself.
The question is, over the last 10 years, you've added over $1 trillion in debt to our national economy. That comes along with a price tag of approximately $32.3 billion in debt servicing costs per year, which if we divided that money between every municipality in Canada, every single municipality, small and large, would have an additional $9 million. And since we all know that the budget will not balance itself, when are you going to balance the budget?
Excellent.
Excellent. And of course, that reference to the budget does not balance himself is a definite dig at Trudeau saying that don't worry about budget deficits. They balance themselves. Budgets balance themselves. I'm not going to worry about that. He hasn't worried about it for 9 years. And this is why the government spends twice as much as it takes in. That is a fact. Those are the economic facts. This is a country run by a government that just prints money and spends it like water and doesn't think about the ramifications, doesn't worry about the consequences, doesn't even think there's anything abnormal about spending twice as much as you take in. And its last ditch attempt to somehow recoup some of these fiscal losses to avoid going off the fiscal cliff is to have these capital gains tax increase from 50 to 66%. And all that's doing is penalizing and impoverishing largely older people who have their nest egg in properties that they're hoping to be able to sell without tremendous tax cost. And so Trudeau is once again damaging the economy by trying to recoup the losses, but he's too arrogant and acts just too much of a lightweight to think about that.
Well, listen, I really appreciate the question because it gives me an opportunity to sort of highlight some of the things about how the Canadian economy is doing. There are the three largest AAA rated economies in the world are the United States, Germany, and Canada. On the carbon price.
Before he gets into your carbon price and he gets heckled for this is a lie. So he's been saying this is the first time I've heard him say Canada lags behind the US and Germany. Every day in question period, whether he's up talking about it or whether it's Chrystia Freeland, the finance minister / deputy prime minister, he or she is suggesting Canada's number one. Canada's number one is in this credit rating, and we're number 7. We're last. We're dead last. This is completely fabricated. This so-called fact from Justin Trudeau is completely made up. It's a lie. And listen to how he goes on once again, and he's going to say it twice. He's going to say it twice. That 8 out of 10 Canadians get back more from the carbon tax rebate than they're put in.
It actually puts more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadian families. That's a parliamentary budget officer who says that. It's absolutely true.
Aha. He laughs at the heckling because he really thinks, and look at him, look over at his moderator there saying, did I do good? Did I do good? Aren't you proud of me? I'm just sticking my nose in these people's eyes. I'm just thumbing my nose at them. I'm telling them, I don't need to give you any real answers. I don't need to tell you the truth. He also makes the astounding claim. I'm not going to go through all of Trudeau's lies and stupid claims that he makes at this meeting during this speech, but he also claims that more people are coming to Canada to invest than any other country in the G7. Lies. People are leaving Canada in droves. Capital is leaving Canada in huge amounts. People are not investing in Canada because they see it as a decaying economy that is so fragile that it's on the brink of the fiscal cliff. It's on the brink of catastrophe because it has so much debt and it is destroying its natural resources industry for the sake of green ideology. So nobody thinks Canada has got what it takes to invest. Let's listen to some more of this maniac.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Microphone number 1.
Good afternoon, Karina Williams, Reeve, Northern Sunrise County. Prime Minister, I would like to know if you have been in person to the North East region of Alberta to actually see our oil and gas industry. If so, where and when? Because your misinformation continues, which I am confident would not be the case if you experience the true clean industry.
Trudeau scratches his head. Misinformation? Me? But that's everybody else. Those are my political opponents with the misinformation. I'm not delivering any misinformation. He's completely unaware of anything he says being factually untrue.
For yourself, and that way we would not need the carbon tax. Thank you.
Prime Minister.
I've visited Fort McMurray and the oil sands many times over the years, but I haven't been to that particular region. You're absolutely right. But I do know how important the energy industry is to this country. And I say energy writ large because oil and gas has been a strong driver of the national economy for many, many decades. When Alberta does well, Canada does well. And that's just a basic truth. And that's something that we need to make sure we're continuing. The issue, though, excuse me, ma'am, the issue is that.
In other words, don't interrupt me with the facts. The issue, though, is what, Trudeau? That you somehow think the world doesn't want Canada's energy? Once again, you're living in delusion and you're lying.
The world is choosing to reduce its carbon emissions right now. Investment is flowing where carbon emissions are being reduced.
Wrong.
And we want to make sure that we continue to be part of providing energy solutions to the world. The oil sands were a technological innovation to get energy out of the oil sands. It took technology to figure it out. There's a technological problem we're having right now of reducing carbon emissions around the world because the world is warming at an alarming rate. We need.
No, the world is not warming at an alarming rate. Once again, that's a complete fabrication. The world is not warming at an alarming rate at all. In fact, temperature, we are in danger of entering a new ice age, but he's still sticking to global warming. He doesn't even realize the mantra is not global warming anymore. It's just climate change because global warming has been completely debunked.
Need to respond to the challenges of climate change. And quite frankly, we need to make sure that the energy industry in Alberta is not just able to reduce its emissions, but able to innovate so there are more good jobs for Albertan energy workers for decades to come, even as the world becomes less reliant on oil and gas.
And we already discovered in a secret memo, internal memo in the Liberal government, that those good paying jobs that are going to be left after the oil industry is strangled by this government are going to be janitorial positions. That's it. There's not going to be any high paying jobs in oil rigs. There's no high paying jobs creating solar panels. They're all made in China. So this man is completely delusional.
That is the situation we're facing right now. It's not me who's decided that the world is changing the way we consume energy. That's happening. And if Alberta and Canada are going to be part of that transformation and indeed benefit from continuing to provide energy to the world, we have to continue to invest in transforming and reducing our emissions while we continue to provide energy to the world. And the price on pollution, the carbon tax, is an important part of that. It has been designed so that 8 out of 10 families get more money back every year from that price on pollution than it actually costs them. That's the.
Carbon is not a pollution. Therefore, the carbon tax is a tax and not a price on pollution. That's a lie. Again, all he can do is stream lies. And it's doing nothing to arrest climate change, even if carbon is the primary cause of climate change. If Canada reduces its emissions to zero, it will have virtually no effect on the global footprint. I keep saying this. Canada produces less than 1.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. So you tell me where the arithmetic is that if Canada reduces its greenhouse gas emissions to zero, how that's going to have any effect on the global carbon footprint. Trudeau can't do that because he can't even add. Budgets don't mean a thing to him, and addition and subtraction means nothing to him, let alone multiplication and division. And let's not even talk about algebra. So this guy cannot figure this out, and neither can his environment and climate change minister. It's a scam. It is an undiluted scam.
core math of it. It's a way of driving down our emissions while we prepare for a stronger economy of the future. And I know Albertans want to protect our environment for future generations like all Canadians do. And that's what we're going to continue to do together.
Okay. So it's not driving down our emissions either. That's the other thing. Even if it was driving down our emissions, it would have no effect on climate change. But it's not even doing that because people still have to drive to work. They still have to heat their homes with fossil fuels. Electric vehicles are not an option. They're not a replacement. There's no green energy that's going to function there's no green energy that is going to energize a modern industrialized state like Canada is. It's not there. So once again, Trudeau is delusional. Now, I want to talk about a couple of things that are going on next week. I'll give you fair warning for this one. This is the One Nation Under God Rally for Children. It's on Parliament Hill next Saturday, June the 15th. Don't miss it. The day before Father's Day, I will be the master of ceremonies at this event. This is going to be an all-faith rally. Christians, Jews, Muslims, Sikhs, Hindus, everybody who cares about their children more than the federal government and Justin Trudeau. Everybody who thinks they should be raising their children, not Justin Trudeau. Everybody who thinks it is their faith and their way of their view of life, their worldview that should be raising their children, not Justin Trudeau's and the Liberal governments. They will be there. Parents will be there who think they have the right to raise their children. Parents will be there who are sick of having June proclaimed as Pride Month and the beginning of Pride season, and are sick of seeing pride flags raised at schools across Canada, and sick of seeing a pride flag raised at the Prime Minister's office to the exclusion of the Canadian flag. People who are sick and tired of paying obeisance, of pandering to the LGBTQ community, and insisting that our children be indoctrinated in its agenda. That's who's going to be at this rally on Saturday, June the 15th. Please be there. There's some great speakers. Come out and meet my good friend, Camille El Sheikh, who once again is organizing this. And this is going to be a tremendous, tremendous event. And this is under the auspices of Hands Off Our Kids, the same organization that organized the walkout last Monday at schools across Canada for kids who didn't want to participate in the pride flag raising or to be held captive by the ideological indoctrination of this group. Wednesday, I'm going to be interviewing J.J. Carroll. Those of you who watch Redacted are quite familiar with J.J. Carroll. He's a former border guard, a deputy who essentially a deputy sheriff as part of the border guard, the border service guard that looks after the southern border in the United States, looks after the northern one too. But this is the security force that has been essentially completely destroyed by President Joe Biden. There is no southern border. He's producing a fantastic documentary about how not only has the border been eradicated, the southern border in the United States been eradicated, and millions of illegal immigrants have been welcomed into the United States and transported across the United States, but there are probably up to 1 million children who have been sex trafficked as a result of this. They have been victims of sex trafficking. And this is the worst scandal that has come out of the open borders policy of the Biden administration. I'm going to be asking him if this has any impact on Canada. Is Canada also afflicted with child sex trafficking as a result of lax border controls? Is Canada in cahoots with the United States on this as well? Because let's face it, it was Justin Trudeau who said the borders are open to everybody. We're not going to tell anybody they're not welcome in Canada. But I tell you, if this story gets reported the way it should be, it's going to be earth shaking. But the mainstream media will not talk about the child sex trafficking that's going on in the United States as a result of lax border security, as a result of essentially allowing NGOs to conduct this sordid, disgusting, putrid business. They have become exactly like drug cartels. They have replaced the drug cartels in terms of human trafficking. And it's disgusting. So I'll be talking to JJ Carroll about this on Wednesday afternoon. Don't miss it. This is going to be one of the best interviews we ever have on this show, because I want to really ask some questions about how this is impacting Canada and the world. What does this mean for the world, and how do we stop it? How do we stop it? And what is the relationship between the trafficking operations and the gender ideology that is encouraging the mutilation of children through sex change operations at 12 years old, through puberty blockers, and on and on? Is there a relationship between these two phenomena? Of course there is. Because the authorities, the governments, the state hates our children. They want to get our children because they have power over us when they do that. Thanks for watching today, folks. I will be back again tomorrow with more news. We'll be doing question period at 2 o'clock. Down to the last couple of weeks of question period, by the way. So nice to have you on board today. Thanks so much for being a part of Craydon's Right and the Stand on Guard broadcast. I'm proud to be your correspondent here in Ottawa. Thank you for watching this episode of Stand on Guard and being a part of the Craydon's Right channel. If you've watched this episode to this point, you've watched it all. And that's really important for a small station like this. We always say subscribe, hit the bell, be a part of the Craydon resistance. Resolve to resist. That's what we're doing. And if you become a subscriber, if you're a supporter of this station or a member through Substack, through YouTube, and now you can be a local as well, that's so important to us because I couldn't do this without you. I made a decision to become an independent journalist about a year ago because I wanted to bring all of my experience in the military, in journalism, to you. I don't promise anything I can't deliver. I don't offer clickbait. I offer truth. The truth is out there, and it's my job to bring that truth to light and to you. Thanks for being a part of the Craydon's Right resistance, and we'll see you again soon.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need a political change, but we also need to resolve to resist